And now to my next question, and my next question would explain to our viewers why I had to, from the beginning of the program, ask about the mandate or your core mandate is, and this question would explain that. So, as part of the 2026 budget, we're told that the Ghana COCOBOD Act of 1984, which is PNDCL 81, would also be amended to make it illegal for the board to deviate or stray from its core mandate to protect the cocoa industry. So if we're told, for emphasis, COCOBOD will no longer engage in what we call quasi-fiscal activities. Tell us a bit more about this.
So, I mean, a big example is the cocoa roads.
Yeah.
I mean, how do you go and expose yourself to the tune of 21 billion? You are not a road agency. Building of roads is not your core function. It's something that you do when either you make provision for it or when you've made some profits and you think that, look, you should contribute some to the development of some infrastructure in some cocoa areas. Then you do that. But COCOBOD is not a road agency. That is not our primary role. So you cannot be doing 21 billion when you owe for beans. What is your primary function? You owe for that. You owe for agrochemicals. You owe for this. And you want to spend these monies on that. Listen, government has a responsibility in ensuring that the roads in the cocoa areas are motorable so that we can be able to evacuate the cocoa. It is up to us through the sector ministry to bring some of these things to the attention of the relevant ministry and to ensure that these roads are captured in the relevant budgets of these ministries and to demonstrate that the inability of the country to do these roads has this implication as far as our export earnings are concerned.
Right.
And for that to be done, I hope you understand me.
I get it.
We cannot turn COCOBOD into one of the agencies under the Ministry of Roads. I hope you understand me. And it appears that something that started as additional support, something supplementary, then has turned out to become more of the primary focus of the entity.
Right.
To the extent that you go and sign road contract valued at 21 billion. With which money are you going to pay those monies? With which money? COCOBOD earns at most 6%. At most 6%. With all your overheads, with your staff of over 10,000, and all your overheads, which monies will you be able to set aside to finance road construction to the tune of 21 billion? What was going through the heads of people who took these decisions? And to decide that you even denominate these contracts in dollars under something called co-financing. So, really, common sense should tell you that don't do this. But you see, in this life, sometimes when you're given discretionary power and authority and you abuse it, then you are now treated as a robot, which is what the new act intends to do. That if you cannot apply common sense and use the discretion wisely in taking decisions, then we might as well legislate it. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I
yes,
totally understand.
We're just moving from something that ought to be commonsensical to something that will be legislated because we cannot trust the judicious use of discretionary power and authority by people who run the organization on the basis of the history of that organization.
Absolutely. So the 21 billion cedis, not dollars. So you've transferred these projects to.
So I'll tell you something, and I'm sure you remember when the IMF talks started.
Yes.
I'm sure you heard that COCOBOD, as part of the IMF program,
yes,
COCOBOD was going to rationalize these road contracts and reduce the exposure from 21 billion to 6.7 billion. We all heard it. Yeah, I sat here, I discussed it with the panelists and all that. There's a huge relief. At least the 21 billion would then become 6.7 billion, which is manageable. It's part of the IMF program Ghana signed up to. I got into office almost 3 years after this IMF, we are signed up to this IMF thing. Over 2 years. Got into office, had this presentation by general services. And then I saw 21 billion cocoa roads. So it struck me. And I was like, but is this not what under the IMF program COCOBOD was supposed to do a rationalization exercise to reduce it to 6.7 billion? Only to be told that, that was a desktop analysis which was presented to the IMF. We needed to follow up with the consultants to the field to go and actualize the desktop analysis that we've made. And this was never done for over 2 years, although it was part of the IMF program. So I asked, what is it that has prevented you? You've sat down in your offices. They put you in some hotel, you sat down and you took the thing and said, okay, this contract has not started, we can cancel it. This one is 5%, we can stop it. This one is double ceiling, we can make it single ceiling. This one is this, we can change it. And then when you did all that, you arrived at the possibility of rationalizing to 6.7 billion. But you needed to go to the field with the consultants to now go and actualize this on the field. To now go and certify that what you said is 5% is indeed 5%. What is 2% is indeed 2%. You can actually do this or you cannot do that. And for 2 years, although it was part of the IMF program, you have not done that. Why? They said, we owe the consultants. And without paying them some money, they were not going to go with us. So I said, who are these consultants and how much do you owe them? They said, roads and highways, we owe them 120 million. Feeder roads, we owe them 80 million cedis. I said, okay. So how much did you need to give them in order for them to go through this exercise with you? So if we give highways 30 million cedis and give feeder roads 20 million cedis, we'll be able to. So I said, okay. So you, COCOBOD, you needed to spend 50 million cedis, not dollars, in order for consultants to accompany you to go to the field and go and actualize a desktop analysis you've done and present it to the IMF as part of the turnaround strategy for COCOBOD to reduce your exposure with respect to cocoa roads from 21 billion to 6.7 billion. You were going to shave off about 15 billion of your exposure. And you needed 50 million cedis to complete this exercise. And for 2 years, you didn't do this. Although it's part of the IMF program and part of your turnaround. But you are able to be importing, paying for $48 million worth of juice sacks that you don't clear. And you are paying road contractors huge monies and still signing contracts. And you are unable to do this 50 million. So I went to the Minister of Finance. The Minister of Finance then said, no, go and see your brother, Honorable Agoja. So I called the Honorable, we met. Quickly, within 1 week, we set up a meeting, the COCOBOD team and the Ministry of Roads team. At the Ministry of Roads, the Minister himself and his deputy, Honorable Suini, sat in the meeting throughout. And we had the technocrats from both sides discuss. We formed a joint team the same day. We gave them 3 weeks to go to the field and go and do the job. I got COCOBOD to release the monies to them. They went there, they completed the work, which says that we can do 6.9 billion. So that is what has come up now. We are in touch with the Ministry of Roads. Now, the Ministry of Finance has directed that all the ongoing works must go to the Ministry of Roads. The next leg is now to sit down with the Minister of Finance and deal with the issue of the 6.9 billion. How we're going to do that, because now we must engage the contractors and inform them that, look, these are the decisions that have been taken. For what we owe, this is how we'll be able to pay it over a period. So that is what is left to be done now. But what is clear from the minister's press release is that government's position is that focus on your core mandate. Don't veer into these things again. The ongoing projects, let it go to roads. Then now we'll come and look at how to deal with the rationalization, the 6.9 billion, how to deal with that. That's the next leg that we have to deal with.